Recording. Awesome. For those of you tuning in, it is Monday, October 15th. And of course, you filed your taxes in April, but if you postponed it, then you'd be frantically finishing up filing today, but I wouldn't know anything about that. Welcome to the stream. Let's do a round of introductions, and let's start with Jen and Jessica in Illinois.
Hey, so Megan, I don't know if we've been on a call together, but I'm Jen. I'm opening Day House Co-working in the northern suburbs of Chicago. In approximately 4-ish weeks. I'm totally calm and not at all panicked and not at all feeling overwhelmed. Well, it's all good. No, I'm like losing my shit. So, yeah, I had to have a come to Jesus talk with some people last week. And I was just like, please stay in your lane. You know, please do not. Good. Trying to work out I guess the biggest issue on my plate right now, I'm trying to work out the childcare piece. Things were going smoothly until I got a bunch of blowback about my proposed rates. So now I'm going back to the childcare provider and we are trying to find a happy medium. They suggested a new pricing scheme, which I think running the numbers is even worse. So I don't know. I think I just need to go back to them and see if they'll lower their rates because it's just not going to be feasible right now. So, and I'm kind of approaching it from the fact that, you know, I'm in, among other things, the space rental business. And so I need to make sure that that room is profitable. Otherwise I might as well turn it into an office. Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but that's how I was looking at it. And they said, you know, I don't know. There seems to be a little bit of a non-synchronicity between me and the childcare provider and what the market will bear around here. So that's my big issue. But I know that that's pretty unique to Day House. Tony, you're muted.
Thanks, guys. Let's put a pin in that, and we'll come back to it. I'm sure that it's solvable, so we just got to kind of talk through it. Jen, why don't you tell me a little bit about our new member on the call here and how the two of you connected, and maybe kind of segue into Jessica's introduction.
Okay. So Jessica Erickson and we met in 2009 when I attended the second meeting ever of the new Young Professionals Board of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. She was the donor engagement manager for one of the donor engagement managers of the CSO, and was responsible for really creating this junior board, which is now an enormous force and has done wonderful things. And she's an expert community builder, and she is sunshine personified. I said that at her birthday toast and totally embarrassed her. But she's also so good at talking to people, even difficult people. You know, I've watched her handle situations with such grace and dignity, whereas I would have just told the person to screw off. You know, she's always the one to say, no, there's a better way to do this. And she knows the way. So she's going to just be amazing at being a community manager. I literally wrote down a list of attributes of what my ideal community manager would be like. And then I got to the bottom list and I was like, oh, that's Jessica. So,
well, thank you, Jen.
They say write with someone in mind, write with somebody in mind. So then when it comes to job descriptions, write with someone in mind and then hire that person. There you go. Cool.
It worked out. Yeah. So I'm excited to be joining the group this week. So really just getting started and diving in. I think last week was my first week to really dive into projects of all things Day House, and kind of been slowly ramping up and just getting used, because co-working is a brand new industry for me. And as Jen said, we met when I worked at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I was there for 15 years and just needed a change. I was ready to kind of retire from that crazy, hectic life that I love and still love. And now I'm on the other side as a volunteer with that organization. So I'm really excited to be building Day House and bringing the skills with working with volunteers and people from the Chicago Symphony to the work with the building that community at Day House.
Awesome. Amazing. I'm very excited to hear the questions that you have as kind of a newcomer to the co-working world. So please consider this to be a safe place to ask anything at all. And welcome aboard.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Megan, we've got over there as well in Canada. We'll be not too far from where you are pretty soon, heading to the Juicy Canada Conference in Banff. So I'll let you just say a quick introduction, and then we've also got Conroy on the phone. So I'll invite him to join after your introduction. Take it away.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Megan. I'm in a little mountain town called Invermere, British Columbia. So it's about 2 hours outside of Banff. I started a co-working space called the Mountain Hub, and we launched or opened our doors July 1st. And it's been really interesting. We're quite a seasonal little place. So summer was super busy, and now things are kind of getting a little bit less busy. So I really look forward to kind of learning some engagement strategies, community building tactics. Sounds like everyone kind of has a really strong background in that. So I'm looking forward to kind of learning some of that, even if it's not today's call, but that's kind of some of the goals I have in the back of my mind.
The fun part is whatever we don't cover today, we'll cover in gross detail.
Plenty of time. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have a chance to it's going to be a nice deep dive, this conference, because it's going to be more intimate. It's going to be kind of a smaller group. And basically, everybody who comes, we're going to make sure everybody gets what they want out of it. So,
awesome.
Yeah. Cool. And Conroy calling in from Juneau. How are things going over there, Conroy? Are you with us? Are you introducible?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Awesome. Welcome.
Cool. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here again. So for everybody that didn't hear me last week, I live in Juneau, Alaska. It's a small town of like 35,000 people with no roads in or out. So everything's by ferry or plane. But it's also the capital city of Alaska. So it's kind of this weird mix between outdoorsy people and politicians. We only opened our doors October 1st, so we're starting our third week. We got some pretty good press, which has been fun, and have a lot of ideas for little kind of decorations that could add a lot of like hominess to the space. So this week, I guess one of the big things is we've got a new full-time member, like the first full-time member. So we're not actually charging to the end of the year, but this is a programmer. He works remotely for a company in Portland, and you can just tell that like he had a good week working there. He felt productive. It was good to be around other people, and he's talking about stuff that's going to happen in like 3 or 4 months. So in his mind, I can tell that he's already going to stick around, which is great because otherwise it would just be me in the space consistently. But yeah, we had an influx of maybe like up to 5 people this week, off and on, and that was really, really neat. And I'm hoping to find ways to engage maybe some of the lobbyists or politicians or other groups like that, which will be arriving in January, and see kind of what their needs are and tailor the space to that, because right now it's just kind of a open canvas. Yeah, that's me.
Wow, awesome. So because of the nature of your region, the changing of the like the political folks during the elections actually kind of affects the landscape, right? You're going to have new people showing up there in January who are like freshly sworn in, literally taking over the government, and they're going to have different needs and all that kind of stuff. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and all their legislative aides and all the, yep. One of the things, so it's seasonal, just like the other woman was saying about her town, seasonal for tourists, which we can address that, I guess, coming summer. But yeah, for the winter legislative session, I think what we realized this week while talking with, I did do some customer interviews with like potential members, and kind of breakout rooms, so like quote unquote shared private offices, something where people can go in, that space, and they have a desk and some chairs, and they can have like literally legally allowed to talk about inside a public office like that. So maybe being able to fill that niche, and be that place where they can come and meet, or maybe with like trade organizations, or nonprofit organizations or something, where they're just in town for a few days while they testify before the legislature or something, but they need a place to work. So it's going to be kind of fun trying to find those people and get our name in front of them before the session starts, so that they kind of hit the ground running in late December.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. This is super fun. It's like it's an interesting premise that we're going to have these different relationships with folks that we actually don't even know who they are yet, but they're going to be coming and they're going to need help. So, got it.
I just happen to think of something, Conroy. Have you reached out to your local hotels that these people usually stay at, just to make sure that the concierge knows about you?
That is a really good idea. Thank you so much for that.
Neat. Conroy, so just to remind everybody here, you had mentioned you're not going to be charging until the end of the year, until the beginning of next year. Can you remind us why and how that deal ended up working out?
Sure. So we've got an agreement with the landlord of the space to use it free for the end of the year, and then do a profit share after that up to market rate. And he has this building. He's kind of philanthropically minded. He's involved in a lot of other things here. He tried to help another co-working space get off the ground maybe 5 years ago, which apparently had fallen through lack of like community management. But yeah, so he just really wants to see somebody using that space. It's been kind of vacant at Ghost Town for a few years, and he's really into it. He knows that something like this could work, and he's just hoping that I'm the right person to make it happen. So I appreciate him.
I love it. And I'm excited to have that kind of a format for us to kind of play with in this group, because I think it could be something that more of us could use down the line. And actually for everybody in this group, and really I want everyone who's a part of this support organization to be able to think this way is, we've got kind of the basic co-working model that we've come to be accustomed to so far, which is very kind of workspace driven. But we know that implicitly there's this kind of larger impact that's more compelling and more important. That is why we kind of care about co-working and why we think it's a big deal going forward. And I want to do a better job of us kind of telling that story. So that's going to be a major topic during the conference this coming week. And I think the more that we're able to communicate why what we're doing is important to other stakeholders, the more money we can raise, and the more of a story we can tell to the potential customers who might be looking between your space and somebody who's really just kind of renting off a space. And so it sounds like you've got a good starting point there, Conroy, as does everybody here. So we will talk a little bit more about that as we get into it. Okay, so thank you, Conroy. Thank you, everybody, for introductions. It sounds like we've got a few topics to cover. I think maybe we could spend most of our time talking about this kind of community building, settling into seasonal type stuff, and some of the dynamics around that, which is going to be valuable even if you're launching your space soon. So that's all kind of pretty universal. But before we do that, let's try to knock off this conversation about the daycare issue, because I think we can at least make a little headway on that, and then just kind of chew on the bigger topic after that. How's that sound? Nodding heads means yes in this culture. All right. So does nodding head mean something else anywhere else? If you go this in another culture, would that mean, piss off or something? I don't know. Maybe
India.
Something. In India, if you nod your head, what does it mean?
I think nodding, actually, this means no, and this means This is like a, I don't know, or maybe, or I don't want to like engage.
All right. We can add that to the conversation if it ever seems like we're getting lost on a thread somewhere, or if I'm just rambling too long, you could all just be like, come on, Tony, shake it off. Okay. So we have an issue with rates with the daycare, which is that the numbers are coming out too high for your customers who are giving you that feedback.
Correct. So
is it like one picky customer, or is it like a bunch of people?
It's overwhelmingly negative feedback. It's constructive, but I've asked a number of different people, and then I went to a really big working moms group, North Shore Working Moms, and I just threw out the scenario, and overwhelmingly it was no, too high. But as I said, people were very polite. They were very constructive. And I really appreciated that conversation. I actually screenshotted the entire enormous thread and sent it to the daycare company. And they said, wow, we had no idea. We thought people up there were going to be fine with these rates. And I was like, surprise, people everywhere like to save money. So, yeah. So what they want to charge me is $10 an hour per kid, and then $3 an hour for each additional sibling. And I did the math, and I thought, okay, well, in order to justify the cost of setting aside this amount of space, I need to charge my customers $15 an hour for per kid, $5 an hour per sibling. So that's a profit of $5 an hour per kid, $2 an hour per sibling. So still a pretty thin margin. And that's where we've got the issue. You know, I guess I could lower the rates to $12 an hour and then not make any money on the siblings. And that would be a little bit more in line with what people are paying for babysitters. It's still way more than they're paying at gyms. You know, the problem is they're comparing me to like Lifetime Fitness. I'm like, well, I'm not a huge corporation. I don't have that sweet corporate money, you know? So, and I think people will get that, but they're comparing me to babysitting rates. So I'm trying to lower that. There's also an issue because the childcare company wants people to sign up well in advance. And I'm getting feedback that people don't want that. People want to be able to just walk in with their kid and not have to sign up a week in advance. The childcare company's response to that is, well, we need to make sure that our ratios are correct, and we need to make sure we have enough people. And so then they came back with another scenario, and they said, okay, what if we charge you $60 an hour? They're charging me $60 an hour to have 2 people there at all times. And then I did the math on that, and I was like, well, holy crap. Then I'm going to need to have enough volume of kids to pay for that. And I don't think that I'm going to have that volume.
Okay.
So
all right, let's step back for a second. First of all, help me understand the sibling thing. How is a sibling less expensive than an only child?
It's that's pretty standard for playrooms everywhere and for babysitters as well. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I guess I'm wondering, I don't understand how a person, like the cost of services goes down just because one kid happens to be related to another. Don't they both still like eat and scream and run and play?
No, it's when they're both there.
Yeah, it's just standard in the babysitting world. You know, if your babysitter charges you $10 for one kid, it might be $5 for 2. Or I'm sorry, 15 for 2. Usually, it's more like 13 or 12 for 2. Like it's not done per kid.
Why? I mean, does this not lead to people just kind of gathering outside on the curb and saying, "Okay, this is my large family of children," and it's they're all brothers and sisters of all different colors and shapes and sizes. Don't ask about my personal life. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you, Tony. All I know is that this is how it is in the childcare world universally. Doesn't matter what type of.
Okay, all right. We don't need to waste time on it. It's just it's interesting, especially because you're thinking of this in the co-working world, right? Like if I'm paying for a desk, and we get this issue where somebody's like, "Well, can I pay a little less for my coworker?" I was like, "Well, they take up the same amount of space, they drink the same amount of coffee. It's not like they're less of a person just because they work for you." So which is why I'm perplexed by this daycare thing. But let's just assume that it is what it is.
You're asking a very reasonable question. In 10 years from now, when you're a dad and you have 8 kids, I'm going to get back to you on this.
Great. Thank you for giving me 10 years to have 8 children. That's awesome. I'm going to start with a girlfriend, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the numbers are too high. Why are you sure that the company you're working with, that they can't move on those numbers? Like, do you have a sense of what the cost is in their world?
I don't know what the cost is in their world. I mean, I know how much, I can guess how much a worker costs. And then they're handling all of the background checks and the training and the scheduling. So there's a cost on, associated with that. And that's really the part that I do not want to handle. And that's why I've gone to a third party, because babysitters are flaky. And you can spend hours texting and on the phone trying to get replacements. I just don't want to do that. I want to focus on the co-working business. So I don't know exactly what their hard costs are. I think the $50 an hour for 2 people sounds crazy to me. I even feel like the $10 an hour per kid sounds pretty darn high, because that's okay. If I get 10 kids in, they're making $100 an hour. Really? Like that's a lot.
What's your relationship like with the people, with the management at this company? Can you kind of talk to them?
Yeah,
can you talk to them like, hey, can you tell me more about how these numbers add up? Because I'm trying to find a way to make this work.
Yeah, I feel comfortable enough. I mean, it's a strictly professional relationship, but the founder is really, really friendly and really open. So I feel like I could maybe go back to her.
Yeah, I mean, from her perspective, like you guys are still in terms development stage here. And right now, just like you put the numbers in the machine and the machine spits out, this doesn't business. So, like you need to like for her on her end, she needs to think about, well, how do I make this sustainable? Otherwise, I don't have an income stream coming from Jen because she won't work with me because she can't. So it's just kind of like simple, dispassionate business number stuff. So I'm hoping that maybe we can shave that down by $1 or $2 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me put that on the side. Now, tell me about your business model in general and just roughly how these numbers fit into the overall model of the business. Like what percentage of your business is this?
I have not plugged this into my P&L even, because it's been so uncertain at this point. We're okay without it. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm wondering is, there's such a thing as a loss leader, or there's such a thing as a break even, where you don't make money on it, but it helps you make money on the thing
Right.
that is your profit center. So like if somebody's going to come in, pay a nice margin on an office, but they're only going to come to you and not the other guy because you have daycare at a competitive rate, then you make your profit on that. Right. And I'm wondering,
sorry, which is why I'm wondering if I shouldn't even be looking at this, if I should be looking at it as a loss leader and not worry so much about the fact of, oh my gosh, here's 350 square feet. I could be renting this for $20,000 a year. So I have that $20,000 in my head. I keep saying to myself, I need to make $20,000 on this relationship.
So I'm wondering if we can hide that money in the membership cost and the office rentals. So basically like you only get access to the member daycare rate of competitive price if you're renting an office, and the cost of the office has the margin for your daycare incorporated into it.
My office are already established. They're already out there. People have already paid me.
for
Jen?
your office rates for now.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, Jess?
Jen, what if, as an incentive for GoNanny to lower their rates that they charge us, we offer, they then give our members, because I'm sure, if our members are using GoNanny at Day House and they really like the company, they, I'm sure, are going to want to use them in their personal lives at their home.
Oh, this is why you're hired.
So, we negotiate. So if a membership benefit is that you then get, let's say their regular rate is, I don't know, $20 an hour. I'm just throwing a number out. But Day House members get it for 18 or 17 or whatever it is. We get a discount. And even could just be 10%. Everybody loves a discount, but it's nothing to GoNanny, but it's really getting their name out there in the community. And in the North Shore community of Chicago, those suburbs, I mean, who doesn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
So I really think GoNanny need to think about the exposure that their company is going to be getting to our customer base and building that relationship. And that's the value. And that's why they need to be shaving a couple dollars off. So then we can lower ours a couple dollars.
I love this. And they are desperate to get it to break out in here. So guys, just to clarify what Jess is saying, what they're doing with Day House is kind of a new model for their business. They started as basically Uber for nannies. So you hire this company and they send you've got a list of like 4 different nannies that will take care of your kid before or after school, drive them around, do things like that. It's like kind of like nannies on call. But they're expanding into this other side of the business, which is taking care of childcare needs for gyms, after school programs, and now co-working spaces. And they really want the co-working space thing to work, and they really want to get up into the area where we are. So that's a very interesting idea, Jess. I love that.
Yeah, so maybe you can, if you have something to offer them, or if you can communicate better what you're leveraging, right? What Jessica's saying, basically, then that's great. That's awesome. Then hopefully that helps them feel comfortable knocking a couple dollars off of this. And then, yeah, you might, it might just be a matter, Jen, of plugging the numbers from this into the P&Ls and seeing if you can get away with it just being a break even.
Yeah.
Even just for now, and it might change in 6 months or a year. If you can execute this well and fill the place, then you could start raising the prices for new people coming in. And you're going to find other vehicles for income as you go as well. So like when we're talking about how Day House makes money in a year, you're going to come to the table with a really clear idea of, well, this totally didn't work in the way I thought it did, but this actually turned out to be way better than I thought it would be. And so, I think part of it is just getting the model to work well enough that people will show up in the beginning, and then figuring out how to, navigate the longer term a little bit down the road.
So can I jump in real quick?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Cool. So I don't know if you have like concrete numbers on how many people would actually use it. I think whatever you can negotiate with them, even if it's not profitable right now, you can always renegotiate in a few months once you figure out your usage.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess whatever makes it most enticing for your members to start. And then the hang up you had talked about that they had that we haven't addressed is the fact that they want to know ahead of time how many people they're going to be taking care of, which is kind of weird for a company that bills themselves as Uber for nannies. They should be able to like scale up and down, but that seems like that's something you're still going to need to convince them on to not be able to know ahead of time whether they're going to need 1, 2, 3 people there.
I think so. Yeah.
Just my thought.
Brad.
Thank you.
Jen, let us know how things work out in terms of the numbers and the negotiations.
Okay. And Jess, we'll circle back and maybe we'll refine something to tell them and we'll talk later.
I have some info I'll send you. So
okay, sounds good.
Cool. Feeling good about this? Any other kind of bits you want to bring up while we're still here?
No, this was kind of the big gorilla on my shoulder last week. So I feel better about it. Thank you.
Cool. Big gorilla is a terrific image too. Okay, so let's talk membership engagement, recruiting, particularly during off seasons in places where there are seasons that create those kinds of shifts. And I'm gonna say this is applicable even if you don't have obvious super seasonality. I think most everywhere has seasonality. We do have some members in this group who live in places that are close to the equator, so maybe not as much, but everywhere has seasonality. And what we see even here in New York is that like the summer tends to be less new people coming in, and a lot of people out of town, so you end up losing members who are traveling or moving. But it ends up being a nice time to kind of hunker down and do business development, space improvements, things like that, and to generally do some preparation for the next kind of peak season. And in some cases, there are people who are actual like destination co-working spaces where their kind of primary approach is tourists. So their whole thing is, people coming to visit periodically throughout the year. And even in that case, what I'm going to say applies, which is that there's kind of two audiences when you're looking at this. There's the people who are affected seasonally, who come and go, and then there's people who aren't, and those are your core group. So even in a vacation destination, there are some expats that live there year round, that they're there during the off season. And the interesting thing about those people is that those people tend to really want to band together, because now you're in a quieter town. There's less tourists around. It's a little bit, more lonely maybe. And so there's that much more of a need for those people to be able to find other people to hang with. And I don't know if you ever had this in the universities that you might have gone to, but I know in my school there was a winter semester, which was like a 4-week super high intensity semester that was, it was kind of like optional. So like most people just did fall and spring, but then some people came in, crushed some extra credits on the winter semester, and it was like a 4 or 5 week sprint, January into February. And the people who went back to school for that all bonded a lot more because the campus was 80% empty, but the students who came in for winter session all had this strong sense of bonding, right? Like the whole floor in the dorm, there'd only be like 5 people there. So those 5 people really got to know each other and hang out, even if they wouldn't have been friends otherwise, And so creating that sense of camaraderie is where we have a tremendous opportunity during an off season. Now, I don't know how that works out in terms of your numbers, in terms of, if you need to fill a place and you've only got not a lot of people there. But I would venture to believe that we, not knowing anything about your capacity or the population of your city or anything like that, that we should be able to aim for you to be able to not be losing money during this time by executing really, really well with the people who are there. And so starting with, let's identify the people who are the hardcore people who are around. Let's really cultivate a strong sense of camaraderie amongst them, and then use that as a home base for growing the invitation to the others as well. So how might we be able to tell this story to other people who are also going to be here during the off season, who don't yet know that you exist or just haven't joined or whatever it is, so that we can entice them to kind of come hang out, not be cooped up, not feel like they're alone in this off-season part of the world. So that's kind of my philosophical premise. Then we could get into the specifics. But Megan, Conroy, I'd love to just kind of invite your reflections. How am I doing so far?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Our seasonality is a little bit weird here because the locals don't go downtown in the summer because it's too busy with the out-of-towners. So I have an opportunity now to introduce the locals to the Mountain Hub who are actually venturing downtown, which is kind of funny. And then we also have second homeowners. The second homeowners in the summer, they're here all week. And so we have a lot of people that work during the week. And now that it's off season, they only come on the weekends. So I have a lot of those members who were core members in the summer. So they were here all summer, 9 to 5, all all week, which Monday through Friday, which was awesome. And now they've kind of graduated out. So it's feeling a little bit abandoned, where that perceived core group is gone. I have a handful of local people that have signed up that aren't coming and working here. So I'm trying to figure out how to get them out of the home office now. We did have a really big snowfall, which sucked because, no one wants to leave the house. Now the weather's a little bit nicer again. And so people are back out to doing the hiking and enjoying the fall. So I think that it just might be a tough season, September and October. But I really need to try to engage that core group of users that I have identified to getting them now into the Mountain Hub. So yeah, they're paying their membership. That's going monthly, but I don't want them to be paying for something they're not using either. How do I engage? I have some events coming up. We'll see how busy those are, because that's always kind of a bit of a gamble too.
What can you tell me about the events?
So I'm putting on a lunch and learn tomorrow on Facebook advertising. So we have a lot of small business owners here that don't have a very strong online presence and are really interested in it. So I do have people coming through the door going, hey, can you teach this? Can you teach that? Which is really great. So I'm quickly putting that on the agenda. People are kind of leveraging the Mountain Hub as an education workshop space, more than a workspace at this point. So they're just coming to pick my brain, which is fine, which is my background's marketing anyway. And then we're going to do a Saturday movie night because we don't have a movie theater here. So we got a popcorn maker and projector, and we have a lot of people that sound excited for a Saturday night movie night. So we'll see how that goes. And then that'll hopefully get people to kind of understand that we are an event space as well, that we have that adaptability. And then, yeah, it was pretty quiet in September for events just because no one was really leaving the house or anything. So October, that's more of our testing ground.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit more about your expertise. So you said people are coming to you for advice. They're picking your brain. Is that something that you do? Are you a coach? Yeah. Are you an advice giver?
Yeah, I'm a marketing consultant. So my real job is I work for LinkedIn Learning, and I'm an instructor, and I teach their online marketing courses. So I instruct people all the time on how to use online marketing. So Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, LinkedIn, email marketing, all that good stuff. So I was always planning on leveraging that expertise in helping the businesses that are here to grow. Now I finally have a little bit more breathing room to get to that point where July, August, September was just so busy opening and managing the space. Now that I have a handful of community ambassadors that work shifts for me, I actually have some time to put together curriculum and teach it, or join a mastermind call or whatnot. So I'm just kind of thinking and working on how to structure those workshops. Like even if we turn into a business academy, I'm totally open and excited about that. It's just choosing what makes sense and not changing things so much that people still don't understand what co-working is. Like people in the town, they don't understand co-working still. So it's really breaking into that mindset of anyone can work here. This is how it looks. People are welcome. We have office space. So it's still a lot of creating that buzz and that publicity as well, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, this is great. And I love the direction you're going in terms of leveraging your own knowledge and expertise, because what we're always looking for are hints of what your people are wanting. We get into trouble when we get it in our head that we want to offer a thing and then we try to get people to want it, because that gets us in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Solutions in search of problems. It's always bad news bears. But if we are, noticing that people don't care about the thing that we think they should, and then they are asking for this other thing that we're not paying attention to, like that's the thing, right? That's what we can use. And even if it's, your own personal advice and knowledge, hey, if you like it and you're good at it, keep doing it, do more of it, and maybe even explicitly sell it. And this is a great time for show, don't tell, because of all of that. So like, yeah, great time to prepare this, like what the program's going to be or what it is you're going to offer. But then what happens is people start to understand what you do because they just start doing it. And so people don't need to know what co-working is. They just need to know that they had a really great time in your space. Right. And that's what ends up working out. When it was me in New York in 2008, when we were just getting started, a lot of people didn't know what co-working was, which is crazy at the time. But what we did was we threw good parties. We had happy hours. We had meetup events and we had conversations and things like that. But I think we had a lot of people who said, oh, I went to this happy hour thing. I had a lot of fun. I met these amazing people. Where was it? Oh, it was at Newark City. What's that? Oh, it's this shared workspace thingy. I don't quite get it, but I like it.
Yeah.
And like, that's when, we start to win, because the reputation becomes more important than anything. Even if that person who comes to your event isn't a prospective member, if they become like a micro evangelist for your brand because they've had a good experience, they're going to tell somebody who is going to be a prospective customer. And so the more little agents for your business that you start spitting out into the world, the more that's going to come back around, even if it takes 6, 8, whatever months for that to, manifest.
Tony, can I just butt in really quickly? How you said, even if people who attended your events weren't all, prospective members, they were advocates in their own communities. That's something I really did a lot with all of the events and programs I produced at the Chicago Symphony, because classical music, our audiences are dying off and we're trying to engage younger audience members. And people who came to our events, all I wanted them to do was go to their office the next day and share some random fun fact with like, oh, wasn't it cool? I learned this random fun fact, to be like bragging. They may never come to a concert again, but they now have intrigued their office members or their family. Like, they went, oh, I went to this event at the Chicago Symphony and I learned this random fun fact about, this piece. It sounds like at the end of this piece, oh, do you know what's depicting? Someone getting their head chopped off. Isn't that funny? So there is that piece. So yeah, it's you just need the conversation to continue about it. I wonder also, because you just want people to experience all the cool things that you offer in your space, that it's an event space. It's, they can produce their own events and you have your own events, and the ways to use it. Especially as the holidays are coming in and everybody's getting busier with their schedules, you want people to continue thinking about you. Do you do kind of a competition, kind of like a race, a co-working race, and all your members get points for each time they come to an event, each time they come to the space? Maybe they get extra points for when they come during the week, on a certain day, and they get points. And at the end of the race, whoever has the most points, and maybe it's, the end of the calendar year, but it's just something fun to build up that community and that camaraderie, and people could talk about, and you can have a leaderboard, on social media in your space. And it's just getting people, and it's also an indirect way for people to see all the various ways they can use your company.
I love that. Thank you. I will. Yeah, that has been noted. That's a great idea. And I think it also maybe lends itself to some accountability as well. Because I think it's kind of similar to a gym in a way for people here. It's, you have every intention of using the space, but that home office is so intriguing, or your child's sick, or, because I would say that the space now is 95% women, totally inadvertently. It's just the way that it is. And most of the women are moms, and we have a handful of single moms. So the kid's sick and they're staying home, and, so it's trying to kind of support them, and maybe that point system might help that as well. So that's a great idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and you can tie it to marketing goals as well, where, from a marketing perspective, I know honestly, it's the number one thing. If you poll members of co-working spaces and you say, like, what are you most in need of, or what are you trying to improve? Basically you'll get 5 different answers that all kind of sum up to, I want more business. I want more customers, more steady income streams, better ways of finding new customers, better ways of closing deals. It's like everything comes back to, I want to make more money, or I want to have, steadier money, or whatever it is. So I think it's a really compelling thing to offer, to say, hey, there's going to be regular programming, and there's going to be some way of kind of shepherding you through a process to say, I'm going to help you grow your business. And, it's part of membership here. And the idea is that you're going to come in and you're going to get educated and you're going to get accountability and all of that stuff. And that's going to help you. So yeah, I dig it, Megan. That sounds like a good direction.
Cool.
I don't know whether we've talked about Cotivation or Co-Boss or any of the programs before, but
I read through it on your document.
Okay.
Google Drive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So feel free to ask about any of that if you want to use that as a starting point. I do think Cotivation would be an awesome kind of like out of the box. You could just take it and run with it and customize it kind of way of doing it. If you want to reduce the work, if you have the disposition to create from scratch, that's cool too. And then I want to see it.
Cool. I that's always been in the back of my mind. I kind of feel like I need like it's kind of chicken and the egg. Like, do I need more of a critical mass? Do I need more core users? So like, will Cotivation attract more core users, or do I need to try to work to get more core users in order then to launch the program? So I'm always kind of like,
I'll say I used it primarily as a sales tool. So when I launched it, it was January. I launched it in December with the intention of catching people at the turn of the new year, because I knew that that's one of the major times people join spaces. And it was a New Year's resolution themed thing, but I put it right on the front of my website. Like, my recruiting on the homepage was not come in for a tour or come rent space. It was come join for this meeting where we're going to set goals and, like, achieve your goals in 2013 with Cotivation, free with membership, join here. And that was a really terrific way of attracting people. And the people who joined because they wanted to participate in Cotivation became amazingly great members, because they came in with the intention of participating, not with the intention of just renting a desk and getting too busy to talk. And so that really was a huge win for us. I can't overemphasize the value of it. And for my existing membership, where they were kind of disengaged, we probably had, I don't remember how many members, probably 75, 80 members. It was just like they were all just coming in and doing their work. And, it just kind of slid into a quieter kind of vibe. But there were among those people, maybe 7 or 8 people who were dying for something more, and they joined for Cotivation. So we had like half existing members, half new members, but the half existing members were just waiting to be engaged. But yeah, no, I would think of this proactively as a sales tool to get people to come into the space who maybe don't need or understand or care about or want workspace, but do want to get out of their house, have some kind of a thing that they can join that can support them. And that even having like some sense of structure, when you work from home, you're freelancing. If I know I've got an amazing group of people that are counting on me to show up at 10 a.m. on Monday, every Monday, and that I always feel like after that meeting, I had the best time, and I've got the same way that we're doing this right now, we're like, we can count on that on our calendar. But then right afterward, maybe there's, the next day there's a work sprint or whatever, that there's kind of, continued context. That's really going to get me to want to come and hang in a way that just a regular workspace wouldn't.
Thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear today. Yeah, that's perfect. Yay. Awesome.
Hooray, I got my testimonial for the day. Before, I know we got a little time left. Conroy, how's this all ending for you? Because I know we talked seasonality with your situation as well. What do you think of everything we've been saying so far?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's all sounds really applicable. I'm going to definitely check out that Cotivation. I know, Tony, that on our first consulting call, you had mentioned the work sprints, and I was actually thinking about scheduling one later this week. But it'd be cool to do that I'll check out that Cotivation thing. Sorry, it's very windy here. It's fall season. Yeah, so I guess I haven't been open long enough to see kind of what people are doing seasonality wise, but I have heard that here in the winter, it's like what she was saying as well, kind of the locals kind of dare to come back downtown because all the tourists are gone. So I hear that the community really does band together. What's interesting is that um, apparently a lot of people have heard of the space. I guess it's through kind of the Facebook marketing stuff I've done or the media, the radio or newspaper interviews, but they haven't come down yet. So it's like they know of it, but they haven't visited. So I don't know that they know what it is or why it is. So your suggestion of just getting people in the space, getting them comfortable coming there, and then as they use the space, realizing, oh, this is what it's for, rather than trying to explain through text or whatever. But I know that one of the things that was motivating me personally, and also the new core member that I got this past week, is that idea of the morale boost that you get from leaving your house, not being alone, and then with winter coming and the darkness and the cold, just having like a bright, warm place to be around other people and just not go stir crazy, get cabin fever. So that's been part of the ad campaign, I think, that we talked about last week. Yeah, but actually, I don't know how that resonates with the locals. Maybe they're just kind of used to it. It's funny. I never thought about that.
Well, I think you'll learn over time kind of what that is, but I have to imagine that people, even if you're used to it, it doesn't mean you love it, you know, and I think the audience for co-working is people who want more than to sit by themselves in their house. You know, if someone's totally happy just being cooped up in their home 24/7, they ain't our market. So, you know, that's just okay. But you're reminding me, Conroy, the importance of emphasizing the program and the event and the kind of the limited time hook, because it creates urgency and it creates something that I can put on my calendar. And I can't tell you how important it is. So the analogy that comes to mind is with a bar. A bar offers beer all day, every day, for as long as it's open. So I know if I want a beer, I could go there and drink beer if I want to. But I can also drink beer cheaper at home. You know, and actually I shouldn't even be drinking beer because I'm trying to lose weight. That's different. That analogy doesn't work. But the point is, how does a bar get you to come? It does happy hour. It does trivia night. It does 2-for-1s. It does whatever it does, right? It does live music. So I don't go to the bar because I want beer. I go to the bar because I want beer for half off, or I want, you know, 10-cent chicken wings, or because, you know, there's like a thing happening that only happens certain times of week. And so, you know, when there's that day and time where there's that thing that's happening that I really want to do, that's when I'm going to go. And so we don't need to perfectly replicate that. Although I would love to see someone go hard at imitating a bar for a co-working space.
10-cent chicken wings at the co-working space.
Hell yeah. Why not? I mean, even have, what's that, Jen?
I think that's called WeWork.
Did they go that far? I don't know. Is that tell me more, Jen. What's your experience with it?
I just, you know, they have beer on tap and they've got
yes, the whole drinking culture. Yes, that's true. They're going to get sued out of that real soon. I'm quite sure of it. But not the literal bar experience, but being able to say like Monday's accountability day, and like Tuesday is potluck salad day, and Wednesday is TED Talk bag lunch inspiration day, and Thursday, and it's just like every week, you know that each day of the week is a special program that's fun and exciting that you can count on. I don't think I've seen anybody go all the way with that, like that kind of, you know, really transactional, like just try to get, you know, every day. But I do think that in some sense, that's where things should go with co-working. That we want to think of it as every day is special for its own reason, and there's never a day, in theory. This is hard to program, but I think you can get there. There's never a day that everyone just shows up and does work and goes home, you know, or even if they do, that there's some sense of context to it. So like when we were in our best groove, we had Cotivation on Monday, And then Tuesday we had a work sprint, and the work sprint was the natural follow-on to Cotivation because we knew what we had to do. And some of it was stuff we were going to put off that was hard, that was annoying. So we said, well, when am I going to do this thing that I just told everyone I'm going to do? I'm going to do it tomorrow at the work sprint. So on that day of the work sprint, there's not really a program that you have to put work into. It's literally just like you put a sign on the table that says, this table's for work sprinting 10 to 12 or 2 to 5 or both or whatever it is. And then people show up and they do it. And that was true. Like, it was member run. I didn't actually run the work sprints, which was great. And then maybe Wednesday you have another program that's a lunch and learn or whatever it is. But we're creating this narrative. We're creating this sense of every day I have a reason to come in. And I will tell you, okay, this is for real though. Having a day of some kind of baked treat, definitely a winner. I cannot tell you how effective that is. Pick your favorite thing. Make it yourself. Find the person in your space who loves to bake and ask them if they could help you out, and just watch them light up like a Christmas tree with joy when you tell them that you'll pay for their ingredients to bring in whatever baked goods that they would like to make once a week. This was the thing. Indy Hall talked about this, and Indy Hall does all kinds of good stuff. They'd made like Cupcake Wednesday or whatever it was, Cookie Wednesday, I forget what the treat was. And it went from being, because it was the worst day of the week, like apparently nobody came in on Wednesday. It was just kind of a dead day. It went from being the least attended day to the most attended day. We are simple animals. You can imagine.
Tony, I'm gonna take your challenge, because it's something I'm working on right now for Daos, and I've been thinking a lot about this. Is like, okay, imagine if we do something like every day. Like, this is totally where my brain has been thinking, because that's the world I've been coming from, is events and community and just that thing to bring people together. And okay, so I love hearing what you're saying, because it makes me think that I'm not crazy. Because I'm like, am I crazy to be doing something every day? So I am going to take on your challenge. And Jen, don't freak out. It'll be fabulous.
We want to optimize for work, right? Like, I want to keep you guys as unbusy as possible, or like minimize the load, which is why something like this, you can put it on your calendar. It can just be a recurring event. You can have some scheduled social media posts that go out every week that remind people or whatever it is. But you can deputize the people in your community that love to bake, and just, once you find that right person who's like so turned on by this idea, they're going to own it. They're going to run further with it than you ever would think possible, right? Because that gives them that opportunity to share their craft with other people. And actually, I think an actual business, like an actual baking business, arose out of that Indy Hall project because of the success. And now I'm going to go even further and say, like, now imagine you give your members like little tickets that they can give to their friends, which is like one free admission to Cupcake Wednesday, and then now they can go to their friends and be like, dude, Cupcake Wednesday, come hang, come get a free cupcake, come for the cupcake, stay for the co-working. That's how we're going to do this. We're going to feed people into being a part of the community. Conroy, thanks for joining.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. See you next week.
All right. Jessica, let us know how it goes. Do you have a plan? Can you tell us more? Yeah.
Sorry. I will have more of a plan. Well, you guys are all going to be in Banff. So in 2 weeks, when we all talk next, I will definitely have that plan. So I will happily share what it is. And again, because I am completely new to this co-working industry. So kind of taking the things that I've done in my past and from what I've kind of soaked in so far from co-working. And yeah, so I'm excited to share with you in a couple weeks and get your guys' feedback.
That sounds great, Jessica. All right. So thank you, everybody, for your time. This has been a super fun call. Please let us know how things go. Report to the group, send an email to the discussion group, and otherwise check in. I'm going to go ahead and say we're not going to do this call next week. For those of you who are in the group and going to Banff, maybe we'll do an in-person version. So I will say, to make up for no video call next week, I will post some kind of content from the conference, either a video or a summary or something like that. And maybe we'll even record a little video together.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
All right, Jen,
right,
Megan,
thanks.
see y'all in a few days. Jessica, great to meet you. And yeah, keep being awesome. Bake some cupcakes. I'll see you soon.
See you guys.
All right, bye.